Can I come in? It's obvious, sir.
No.
You didn't read the document. Hang on a minute. Because it's obvious you didn't read the document.
No. You have just asked me a question.
No, let me finish.
That's the same way.
Let me
You always
finish. Let me finish.
The person who's answering.
My brother, you know, we come a long way. And your emotional blackmail cannot work with me. You know, you achieve a blackmail.
No, you have come.
So let me please.
Can you retrieve that?
Let me speak.
Statement?
Your emotional blackmail cannot work with me. Secondly, you have not read the document.
I will not continue to answer your question.
You have not read the document because if you have read the document,
stop to answer your question.
If you have read the document,
please go back and retrieve that statement, or else let me answer.
I will not retrieve the statement because you've constantly emotionally blackmailed. So moving on.
No.
Okay,
please direct your question somewhere.
Let me make my points.
No, I'm sorry, Dr. Abati. I am sorry, Dr. Abati. Please rein in Mr. Azan. Rein him in. Rein him in. He had his say and I did not interrupt him.
You had your time.
He had his say and I did not interrupt him. Please rein him in. What I said is very clear.
These are not.
What I said is very clear.
Don't interrupt him. Please wait.
You are very biased.
Okay.
You cannot offend me. You are not made up your mind.
Okay, please.
As an unbiased arbiter, you are just don't listen in the arena. You
can't take over the show, Mr.
No, to me, on that, I believe that we just have to go on issues. Let us talk about law.
Please, I beg you.
It's the law that we are talking about. It's the lawyer addressing the judiciary. This is the issue. The judges address them.
Okay, but
we lawyers cannot continue.
Please allow him.
The judiciary are there to be there as unbiased arbiter. If you love to be part of the articulate media lawyer, go and join them.
We are not in a position.
Go and accuse of fight before the court. You don't come to the media and presume judgment. And I won't accept it. I won't accept it. You've taken over the show. No. We are here to.
We are not in a position.
Not you, but the public.
Hold on.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Mampolo from Mampolo's Corner. Renee your mindset. Guys, I have made this statement several times on my show that there's no how you will be defending evil and not look stupid. There's no how you will be defending evil. You see evil thing, you keep defending it. There's no how you'll be defending that and you are not going to look stupid. I don't want to waste your time. Let's begin to watch this argument. And the side of the argument that is looking stupid, let us know on the comment section. I don't want to talk too much. Continue watching.
The Chicago State University finally released the academic records of President Bola Tinubu to his political opponent, Atiku Abubakar, in line with an order of a United States court. Atiku, the presidential candidate of the opposition People's Democratic Party in Nigeria's February 25 election, had requested the documents to back his allegation of forgery of Chicago State University's certificate against Mr. Tinubu. The allegation of forgery was one of those dismissed by Nigeria's presidential election court in the suit Atiku filed to challenge the election of President Tinubu. However, a top official of the Chicago State University, Carl Westberg, says a replacement copy of the certificate that President Tinubu submitted to Nigeria's electoral body, INEC, did not emanate from the institution. Speaking under oath during the deposition of documents, the registrar specifically told the U.S. court that he was seeing the certificate copy for the very first time in the proceedings. Oh, wow. Meanwhile, President Bola Tinubu's senior special assistant on media and publicity, Temitope Ajayi, insists that the certificate that President Bola Tinubu presented to the Independent National Electoral Commission was not forged. In a post on social media, Ajayi says the Chicago State University confirmed that the president didn't submit a fake result to INEC. Ajayi notes that the Chicago State University registrar affirmed under oath that Tinubu attended and graduated from the institution and that the school does not handle replacements for lost certificates. He said there was no truth in the forgery claim, adding that no person can forge a certificate he already has. Joining us now on the morning show as we dissect the various legal issues emanating from the release of President Tinubu's records by Chicago State University is Dele Farotimi, a lawyer and human rights advocate. He will be joined by Oladotun Hassan, a lawyer, chairman, Etiosa Bar Forum, secretary, NBA Ekpe branch, and a member of the NBA National Security Agency's Relations Committee. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us in the Lagos studio. Well,
thank you very much for having me once again, and good morning, Mr. Hassan.
Good morning.
I am of the firm opinion that it is not a Nigerian thing to forge documents.
I support.
Regardless of what the CSU registrar might have to say on the subject, it is not a Nigerian thing.
Not our thing.
The CSU was unambiguous in making clear that the diploma submitted to INEC does not emanate from it. That, I think, is about the only thing of legal consequence that concerns me as far as I'm concerned.
Jesus.
But when you now look to the broader issue of honesty, integrity, the image of the country, it doesn't look good. But I will refrain from speaking further to the issue. Regardless of what pundits might care to say about it, this does not emanate from the Labour Party or Mr. Gregory Peter Obi. This is solely an issue raised by Vice President Atiku, and it is for all of us to look beyond the politics and deal with the substance. Has this man forged a document? That question has been answered on oath. And I'll leave it at that unless I need to speak further on the subject.
Thank you.
To respond to a comment made by the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Yusuf Toga, in an interview yesterday, where he said, this matter is trivial. It's a trivial matter and we should, I want to take his, he said, the issues surrounding the president's academic qualifications are frivolous. The administration cannot waste its time on trivial matters. Do you agree with him? Are they frivolous, and are these trivial matters that ought to be ignored? And then for Mr. Hassan, because you mentioned the fact that as president of Yoruba Council, he's an Omoluabi, in the event that it is proven, or there are evidences to prove that Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu forged the certificate, as an Omoluabi, would you suggest, in the event that it is true, that he resigns?
Well,
let Mr. Farutimi respond.
Please.
Well, first thing first, it was correct to decree the forgery by Mr. Tinubu as frivolous. When you consider all the other things that are confronting Nigeria, it is particularly trivial to contemplate that the president, quote and unquote, of the country, of the most populous black country in the world, actually forged his certificate. Now, to move beyond that, because it is very easy to try to run away from the trivialities that the Tinubu administration has more or less forced on us. But if you dig deeper in the body of the same deposition, you begin to address the fact again that there are so many lies undergirding even the forged certificate itself, too many questions waiting to be answered. People might begin to talk about how evidence does not count again at this point. But again, it's not like evidence has ever mattered in our space, because even the judiciary have found ways to make what matters not matter any longer. But there is something that I must respond to, even though it wasn't asked of me directly. Yes. And this is this idea that somebody is an Omoluabi simply because the person is a Yoruba person. An Omoluabi comes with qualification. It comes with qualification of integrity, of honesty, of pedigree, of history. That is why we have Oriki in Yoruba land. A person would be praised to his progeny. You will speak to his generations. You will talk about who are his forefathers. That is the mark of the Omoluabi. And then the person must earn the tag of the Omoluabi. He must act with integrity. He must deal equitably with other people. He must be fair in his dealings with people. In fact, the entire ethos of Omoluabi, you can find it in the book of Amos in the Bible. That is how deep the concept is. To now appropriate Omoluabi to everybody who answers the name of a Yoruba person, even when the person has not acted in a manner that is suggestive of the person having the quality that will make the person answer to the name of Omoluabi. I reject that in its entirety. I am an Omoluabi. I'm a Yoruba man. And I have not forged my certificates. And so please, it is not a Nigerian thing. And it is certainly not a Yoruba thing. And it is not an Omoluabi thing to do that.
All right. The question then goes to Mr. Hassan. in the event, of course, it's not proven. Until the matter is concluded, we cannot make assumptions. But in the event, because we hear in other parts of the world when a public officer is saying, he wouldn't even wait for a ruling by the courts, or honorable thing is to resign. What do you think?
Well, from the content, I still want to inform that except it's explicitly spelled out by CSU is an institution. It's not just like the way we mobbed our institution here in Nigeria by campaign of calumny or by attacks. But as an institution, but the fact that they reckoned with Ashwaju as a graduate, I still maintain that ground. Nothing can outweigh that, because that was just the fact. There are other lies Atiku brought before the whole world. If you are telling too many lies, it will be quite unfortunate. I'm coming. Just as he never answered your question.
That's not the question they asked you.
True, you asked him a very straightforward question, and he deviated and went on a voyage on his own self-interest. But for me, Ashwaju, just like our organization, recently, we hold the symbolism of Omoluabi. There are a lot of characters that hold that value, hard work, vision, courage, integrity. These are semblance that we hold in high esteem. Until it's proven otherwise, we will take the right decision to rethink and review our decision. But as at now, and that is the system of Yoruba people. Recently, we just took a decision on another statement for just violating a moral decadence of the Yoruba people, because he violated for Obasanjo to apologize. We sanctioned him. It doesn't matter whose us is God. But for the fact that social justice must be maintained, rule of law must be maintained, you cannot come on a live program imputing. You don't impute. You even raise it as an allegation until it's proven. He's a lawyer, and I'm also a lawyer. You don't come to impute a crime that have not yet been investigated and properly alleged. For the fact that the school had just come out, so this is one of our person. We had all the qualification. The earlier issue was that he was parading a female, he was parading this, he was parading every other. But yet, at various points in time, the hatred, some of these are people, for the fact that we're all Yoruba doesn't mean we must love our own. Hatred. I'm not a sentimental and ethnic person. I'm the Secretary General of all ethnic nationalities in Nigeria. I hold the Igbo in high esteem, the Hausas in high esteem. So it's not about a Yoruba thing. We are talking about national interest.
Absolutely. So to the question.
And if he does, I've already answered your question.
I asked that in the event, and it could be anybody. So maybe because of the personality, in the event that it's proven, would you suggest or recommend that the person in question should resign?
No. If it's proven guilty, the Senate needs to impeach him. It doesn't need to still hold on when they do more. Because that is the law. When we are talking about law, we tend to be more emotional in this part of the world. If you are not reading in between the lines, the more that we are hypnotized and overzealous about the political intrigues that battled us in the 2023 general elections. We all know how we had till now. If you go on social media, there are a lot of issues there.
Yes.
But in view of the fact that Ashwaju today is still an Omoluabi par excellence, except Mr. Dele Farotimi has personal hatred and issue. If you don't have any, you don't begin to chastise a man for just the fact that he's a former governor of Lagos State. Everybody has their own interest. But for the fact that you've aided you've aided your own political candidate, let's give him a breathing space to serve the people, which he has started well. Thank you.
Let's deal with facts.
Yes, definitely.
Not sentiments. I want to deal with facts. So, have you taken our time to read the raw copy?
You don't
about 200 pages of deposition, because I want to interrogate the raw copy.
You don't enter trouble now.
Have you read everything?
Yes, I've read it.
You've read everything. Are you sure?
Definitely.
Okay, good. So let me take you first to the part where the school talked about the fact that they didn't give the certificate that he submitted to INEC. You're a lawyer by training. There's something called the Evidence Act. Before you put forward a document that can be submitted under oath, it has to be issued by the authority issuing body.
Yeah, it don't change.
Mr. Tinubu submitted a document that in this deposition, CSU said they did not issue. Number one, what's that your interpretation of that? Secondly, if you submit a document, you claimed an authority issued and the authority claimed they didn't issue it. What's your interpretation of that? Secondly, Mr. Faratimi, I want to go straight to the facts. They talked about the case of Mr. Orr in the deposition, and I'm sure have you read the deposition fully?
I won't lie to you that I have. Unlike Mr. Azan, I haven't read everything.
Okay. They talk about a certain Mr. Orr that after they dealt with the certification process that left CSU, and they didn't know the circumstance at which they left CSU. They also confirmed that they gave Mr. Enarueba documents, because some people have been lying that Mr. Enarueba didn't subpoena CSU. They confirmed that they gave him documents. They even further revealed that the normal template that the president graduated from CSU was written many years ago, and they just used it to respond to email of people that make inquiries. They also further talked about the fact that they have no authentication as regards that Southwestern College. So the CSU themselves confirmed that they don't have any means to be able to authenticate if the records any students submitted to them is valid or not. Because I've read in details this, so that's why I'm asking you if you've read properly, because I want to deal with facts. So these are some of the facts on ground. Number one, I'd like to ask you, if as a lawyer, an issuing body that you claim gave you a document said they did not give it to you, and you submitted that document on that oath, what does that mean?
In the circumstance of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, stricto sensu, there was a missing, he requested for a reissuance of a certificate.
You see the stupidity?
And this is the diploma certificate we are talking about. And there are procedures in American system of education whereby documents, not all documents, especially certificates, they outsource printing of certificates in their own system. Their system is not like the way we run our own education.
Look at his body language.
Secondary, so far, you have all the prerequisites. And from their own records, it's just like their records standing against them now. You cannot appropriate or reprobate. The finality, which I'm still telling you, is the fact that from the article's point of view, they need to still subject that to a thorough investigation. And that is where we want to maintain.
Sorry, can I come in? It's obvious, sir. No. You didn't read the document. Hang on a minute. Because it's obvious you didn't read the document.
No. You have just asked me a question.
No, let me finish.
That's the same way.
Let me finish.
Let me finish.
The
person who's answering.
My brother, we come a long way. And your emotional blackmail cannot work with me. You are chief of blackmail.
No, you have come.
So let me please.
Can you retrieve that?
Let me speak. Your emotional blackmail cannot work with me.
Statement.
Secondly, you have not read the document.
I will not continue to answer your question.
You have not read the document because if you have read the document,
stop to answer your question.
If you have read the document,
please go back and retrieve that statement, or else let me.
I will not retrieve the statement because you're totally emotionally blackmailed. So moving on.
No. Okay, please direct your question somewhere.
Let me make my points. If you have read the document, it shows that CSU actually sent another document was made for Tinubu to Enarueba. And there was discrepancy. That's why CSU said they did not print out that document that particularly was sent to INEC. Mr. What's it called? I would like to come to you. Mr. Dele Faratimi. Please, can you comment on all the facts I have brought out?
Facts don't matter in Nigeria any longer. That's just the truth. It's gotten to the point where alternative facts have taken over the space and truth itself have become completely subjective and transactional. The depositions are clear and they are not ambiguous. The person representing CSU was unequivocal in declaring that the certificate submitted to INEC by the man known as Bola Ahmed Tinubu does not emanate from them. That is a matter that should be conclusively dealt with and forgotten about. Whether the Nigerian courts will find that a sufficient basis to do the needful That's another argument that we can have at another time. But that we're still arguing about what has been conclusively proven in the deposition speaks a lot to the kind of country that we have become. Now, when you now speak about a missing document, the person went to school, we now begin to dig to the substance of the issue. You now begin to have to answer the question. The document submitted to CSU itself showing that it was a female that had the qualification to enter the place, nobody is talking about that. If we are not going to be dealing with the substance and we are just dancing around the issue, we can't even agree on what is not or what should not be argued about that is already clear in the face of the deposition, that this document to Mark A that was given to INEC by Mr. Tinubu did not emanate from the body that was purportedly issuing the document. The body came out clearly. Now, whether Mr. Tinubu attended the university, whether he attended having the right qualifications, whether he lied about the schools he attended, whether Government College Lagos was found in 1970 or 1974, that's another story entirely. And the deeper you dig into this, the messier it becomes. And I actually think that we have a duty not to allow truth to become transactional and subjective. Facts on the ground are clear. The certificate submitted by Mr. Tinubu is a forgery. That is not my opinion. That is what the registrar of the school has declared on oath.
It's a forgery.
So what our own courts will do with it is what they are prepping for with all these alternative narratives and facts that they are spewing. Oh, so I have a driver's license, but I forgot my driver's license, and I have now forged one so that I might prove that I actually had one issued to me. It's still a forgery.
Yes.
Do you think that forgery can be established at this stage, considering the fact that there are decided cases on forgery? The most celebrated one being the Eremi Yegio case in Bayelsa.
Dr. Abati, when your legislators are corrupt, you should be worried. If your executive peopled by crooks, you should be afraid. But when the judiciary stops being court of law, the people should be alarmed. Nigerian courts over the past few years have shown very clearly that we have good reasons to be worried about the capacity to deliver justice or to give equity. However, I do know that within the inherent jurisdiction of that court, it has the powers, if it so desires and if it finds the will, to hear evidence that will suggest that the person who is sat in the highest office of the land is a career criminal.
Jesus.
That is entirely up to the Supreme Court. It is up to the court to decide whether it is capable of saving what we have described variously as a democracy. What I have said is very simple. No, I'm sorry, Dr. Abati. I am sorry, Dr. Abati. Please rein in Mr. Azan. Rein him in. Rein him in. Rein him in. He had his say and I did not interrupt him.
You had your time.
He had his say and I did not interrupt him. Please rein him in. What I said is very clear. What I said is very clear.
Don't interrupt him. Please wait.
You are very biased.
Okay.
Make up your mind.
Okay, please.
As an unbiased arbiter, you are a judge. Don't descend into arena. You
can take over the show, Mr.
No, to me, on that, I believe that because of issues. Let us talk about law.
Please, I beg you.
It's the law that we are talking about. It's the lawyer. Addressing the judiciary. This is the issue. The judges address them.
Okay, but
we lawyers cannot continue.
Allow him.
The judiciary are there to be there as unbiased arbiter. If you love to be part of the articulate media lawyer, go and join them.
We are not in a position.
Go and fight before the court. You don't come to the media and presume judgment. And I won't accept it. I won't accept it. You've taken over the show. No, we are here to
we are not in a position.
Not you, but the public.
Hold on. We are not in a position to charge you for contempt. But this is becoming contemptuous.
My words are not ambiguous.
Simple.
Mr. Farouk,
I was speaking with you specifically, Dr. Abati, over a year ago. I was away in America when you asked me specifically about the appointment of the current CJ, and he was appointed in an acting capacity at the time, and my opinion are on paper. They are clear, they are not ambiguous. I have zero trust in the capacity of the CJN to deliver justice. That is not political. Jesus. That is something I had said long before there was a Peter Obi. So there is nothing political about that. There is nothing personal about that. This is all about Nigeria. It is about the country we want to leave behind for posterity, for our children. What values are we building that country with? Is it a country where nothing matters any longer once the person can snatch it, grab it? If you speak against that, you must hate the person. Is that the kind of country we have become? It is up to the judiciary to decide whether he wishes to do justice or whether he wants to continue wearing blinkers and pretending that it is a court of law when justice is vacant completely in his court. This is not about legalese. It is about building a society based on morality, equity, justice, and even law. If we're now faced with a situation where in our courts, the law does not matter anymore. You have a Lawan in the Senate, even you have an Akpabio, and then you're asking me if I have confidence in the capacity of that judiciary to do justice. I am telling you straight up, no. If anybody does not like that, it is up to them. The point I'm raising is when you have this much imputation of criminality, whether it is proven or not is another ball game entirely. It is not even seemly. Already all over the world, our reputations are in tatters simply because of the person who sits in the highest office in our land. And then we are being told it is wrong to ask questions. We must hate him if we are asking questions. I hate nobody. No. I hate their deeds.
I love Tinubu.
All right. Mr. Hassan, what's your assessment of the judiciary? And again, just responding to Dr. Abati's question around evidence being admitted to the Supreme Court at this level. From a lawyer's perspective yourself, what's your take on this?
Well, admission of evidence are allowed at every stages of every matter, but you cannot bring in fresh matter. That is the case here. On the effect of article is a dead on arrival case have been issued, and that of Peter Obi. And let me now go into the other question of
the what?
How best do we rate our judiciary?
All right.
It's quite unfortunate in this part of the world. When you go to court and you win a case, you go to church and run your Thanksgiving. But the day you lose the case, then you begin to cast aspersion. Our judiciary, which I'm also part of, if you cast aspersion, definitely you are part of that process. But I still want to reiterate, as far as the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal is concerned, the judges are unbiased. For every lawyer, the jurisprudential judgment of that ruling is a book for another day for lawyers to learn, even for lawyers to know how to prepare election petition matters. You don't just presume the fact that you hate the face of the judges or you tag them on all the social media, definitely because they now deliver judgment against you, definitely they are bad. No. Mr. Abati have admitted, everybody know, our judges are there. You don't preempt them. And that's why I wouldn't want to prejudice the Supreme Court. But I know Atiku and Obi are just on their self-melancholic voyage to just satisfy their followers, the mob attacks. And that's what we are witnessing.
The mob attacks.
Everywhere you go, you see them. But for me, the judiciary is full of integrity, and I believe, and I still reiterate, however the Supreme Court rules, I'm not preempting that they must rule in favor of Asiwaju. If the Supreme Court rules tomorrow, Asiwaju needs to take his leave and obey the rule of law. He has nothing. And I know the man I know, while he was a former governor of Lagos State, he went through the court. He's a man of court. Okay. You might hate him for his guts, but he's a man of due process, and he's very calculative in ensuring to get his ass together, not a man that does things hurriedly just to get fire brigade solution.
So a couple of questions. My very dear friend,
good friend,
Mr. Hassan.
We have let the whole world know that we resolve behind the camera.
No, I've got nothing against
you. Now go.
But the truth is, I'm a man of fact, and I state
same
things.
Here.
And when you are interrogating based on fact and people call you unprofessional, it's a compliment actually because you're doing your work. So thank you for complimenting me. Let let me go straight to it. So this was the fact I was interrogating you
Okay.
on. And I'm just a person of facts, and I want the facts to come out.
Okay.
I get your point that a third party, can print
Yes.
a document and everything. But that's why I specifically asked you that did you read the deposition in its entirety?
You don't read them.
Because in the deposition in its entirety, there were a lot of discrepancies.
You got chance.
When Enahoro Eba subpoenaed the school, they gave him one certificate, which was different from what President Tinubu submitted.
Okay.
So the one certificate that they gave Enahoro Eba
Okay.
was different.
Yes.
And that's the bone of contention. That's why I kept on telling you that. That's why I kept on telling you that. No, hang on a minute.
Okay.
That's why I kept on telling you that. You might not have had the full facts. So it's not that I have anything against you. I've got nothing against you. I don't have the capacity to it. Hang on a minute.
Okay.
You won't let me finish.
That's the problem.
That was the variation in the document.
Okay.
And that's why I asked you hitherto that if an issuing body does not authenticate something that was claimed to have been issued by an issuing body, then what is the case? Let me even stretch your argument and make your argument for you, because I love arguments.
Okay.
So if you say that a third party issued it,
Okay.
was there an authentication by the school recognizing the fact that the third party issue in its deposition? Wasn't that supposed to be submitted to INEC part of the oath? Secondly, the Southwestern College documents. The school themselves came out to say that they have no verification mechanism on these documents students submit to get into their own school, which is suspect, because that means I can submit a name and call myself Wendy Smollen, and the school will accept it without verifying it, which is also an albatross on the school itself. They also talked about, and these were the things that are in the documents, there's also talk about the case of Mr. Orr that left the school after there was a certification that was initially delivered to Mr. Wole Afolabi, which is cancelled.
Okay,
so these are the issues. Let me also set a timeline for Mr. Farotimi. Mr. Farotimi, there's this big bone of contention, and this is the argument some people are making, that all that matters is the fact that the school, and in the deposition when Mr. Henderson was interviewing the witness, the school said, yes, the candidate graduated. So people are making the argument that, is that not enough? Once they said graduated, but they said they cannot authenticate the documents. Because that has been a bone of contention, and I want you to be able to clarify first. Answer the question here.
Well, let me draw you to our own local system here. I attended LASU. So many years back, there was a printed certificate without your picture on it. But now you go to...
What year was that?
That's 2010, 2011.
Okay. I was
But I knew when... but I'm aware when you are in English. But I'm coming. I knew Dr. Bat very well as a lecturer. But at the same time, these are facts that are laid before all of us, and facts don't lie. It's just from the angle that you want to pick it up as an African man mentality that the king does no wrong, or let me just make sure that this man must be nailed, either is saint or not. What you asked is the fact that by whose authority? That's what we call it in law. Who's the authority? Who authorized the issuance? Was there a further request? It would be an omission on the part of the institution to have put up maybe vaguely decision not extracted, or maybe too assertive. But in their report, if I just say, okay, this document is not from me, that doesn't mean that my the agent who had the authority ab initio is not authorized to issue the document on my behalf. It's only for you to go through that agent to reaffirm. And what Ashwaju is having today, which I want you to write, do your own.
The school had another. See,
let me tell you. That's what I'm not telling you.
The school had another certificate they issued to Enahoro Eba.
No, that's what I'm saying. That they even admitted that they have different characters that they use in issuing their certificate. So the people that did. I have three vendors now. Do you expect every vendor, somebody in one trade, to maintain the same logo and design? Every trade has their own logos, have their
Different
own
logo
trademarks.
for school.
If I'm using my own trademark to issue maybe I'm using italic sign.
But Mr. Big's logo is uniform everywhere.
No,
despite franchise.
you're having the African mentality of Nigeria. I'm talking about America here. No.
But Mr. Big's logo is the same everywhere.
We are talking about logo for a third party who has the authorized right to
but the logo, but there's a
Go to
standard.
this. Can we stay on course?
Go to that
this
third
program.
party.
No more
You can't
interruptions
defend
today. Please, let's stay on
You can't
course.
defend it for not look
Make your
stupid.
point.
Okay, so the fact I'm asking
so
you.
there is none.
No, the fact I'm asking you is this. That's why I said, please, it's best you read it because it's obvious you've not read it. And this is not to impugn on anything you said.
No.
See, the school in that deposition said they have another one that they gave Enahoro Eba. But the one Tinubu gave was different. They don't know how it came about. So the school can actually have a replacement and reissue. It was that one they gave Enahoro Eba. It's there in the document.
The same school that gave Enahoro Eba still has authorized agent that is still his right to.
So why didn't they give Tinubu and they gave Enahoro Eba?
That's the choice of Ashwali.
No, I'm just asking, please, just a clear question. Why didn't they give Tinubu, but they could give Enahoro Eba? Pure and simple.
Tinubu only went to the third party to request.
Okay,
That's
Mr.
right.
Mr.
That's right. That is under his own right.
Mr. Lefarotimi, I'm sure you want to answer the questions here.
I assure you that Mr. Azad is a very intelligent man.
Yes.
But when you find a very intelligent man struggling with something as basic as this, you will know that something else is there.
That is
so
what
let
I'm
me
talking
just
about.
say this.
Defending
the
evil
candidate
and
graduated.
looking stupid.
That was what the school said. But the school also said very clearly and unambiguously that he knew nothing about the document termed a certificate held by Mr. Tinubu. The only document purporting to be a certificate submitted to INEC by Mr. Bola Ahmed Tinubu by the declaration of the body that was meant to have issued it is fake, is a forgery. All these arguments that we are having is because, one, the Nigerian press, I'm sorry, Rufai, I'm sorry, Ayo and Doc, we sometimes deliberately ignore the truth that is in front of us and we go on fishing expeditions. The document from Southwestern College shows a social security number that goes back to a female. There are so many lies on getting these things that we are not asking questions related to that because it's already sufficient to focus on the fact that the document submitted is fake.
It's fake.
It's that simple. Whether Mr. Enahoro Eba or Mr. whoever, the fact is on record.
But Mr. Farotimi, the school said he graduated.
The school said he graduated. I'm not arguing that with you. Why? That is already on record. It's not something to be argued about. But the school also said the certificate the man submitted is a forgery. That is what the school said. What did they say it is?
No, the school did not say it's a forgery.
So what did they say it is?
All the school said is that it is not what they gave, that they don't know about.
Exactly. So if the issuing authority says that this is not from me, why are we afraid to call it what it is? It's a forgery.
Okay, Farotimi, let me come back to you.
This guy brings
Number
too
one,
much.